Welcome to the History of West, where we explore the most shocking, heart-stopping moments in the world of political intrigue and suspense. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so and click the notification bell so you don't miss any revelations. Today's story is unlike anything you've ever heard. A sitting president, surrounded by hundreds of bodyguards, assassinated in his own office, at his desk, in front of a room full of his most trusted men. This is the incredible true story of Ibrahim Traoré's assassination attempt and his fight for survival. But who did this and why? It was just another normal day at the presidential palace in Ouagadougou. The sun was high in the sky, casting its bright rays through the large windows of Ibrahim Traoré's office. The hustle and bustle of the world outside seemed to fade away as the president sat behind his massive desk, poring over documents that required his immediate attention. The weight of his office had become a heavy burden, and the world's political pressures were mounting with each passing day. But Ibrahim Traoré had never shied away from a challenge. He was known for his leadership skills, his resilience, and his unwavering commitment to Burkina Faso's future. With every decision, he had taken great care to ensure the country's survival in a world where power was always at stake. But today, something felt different. Today, a sense of unease lingered in the air. Despite the impenetrable security surrounding him, his office was a fortress. The room itself was secure, every inch covered by the highest level of surveillance. Outside the walls, there were 200 bodyguards, a team handpicked to protect the president. They were all highly trained, loyal, and capable of defending the building against any threat. This was not a man who could be easily touched. Yet that morning, something was about to happen that would change everything. Ibrahim was deeply focused on the report in front of him, his pen gliding over the pages as he jotted down notes. The room was quiet, except for the sound of his pen and the soft hum of the air conditioning. His personal assistant, Marie, stood by the door, waiting for him to finish. But then, without warning, the atmosphere shifted. The door to the office creaked open, and one of the senior bodyguards, Captain Mamadou, stepped in. He was a massive man, his frame imposing, and his reputation for handling the most dangerous situations was unmatched. But today, Mamadou's face was unusually tense, his eyes flicking nervously toward the door as if expecting something. "Mr. President," Captain Mamadou began, his voice low but urgent, "there's a situation outside the palace. I don't know if it's related, but we've received reports of movement near the perimeter." Ibrahim didn't look up from his papers, his mind racing through the possibilities. "Any immediate threat?" "Not yet, sir," Mamadou replied, his unease still palpable. "But it's unusual, and we've heightened security. I just wanted to make sure you're aware." Ibrahim finally looked up, meeting Mamadou's eyes. "Thank you, Captain. I'll handle it." As Mamadou stepped back out, Ibrahim's thoughts shifted. There had been whispers of instability in the region, but he couldn't afford to get distracted. He had a country to lead, and he couldn't afford to waste time on baseless rumors. He stood from his desk, walking over to the window where he could see the palace grounds and the armed guards standing at attention. The perimeter was secure, the palace was secure, or so he thought. Suddenly, without any warning, the world outside his office exploded in a deafening sound. A loud bang shook the air, followed by several more in rapid succession. Ibrahim spun around, his heart pounding in his chest. The gunfire wasn't coming from the perimeter, it was coming from inside the palace, from somewhere too close. Far too close. The room was instantly filled with chaos. His guards rushed in, weapons drawn, eyes wide with panic. A commotion outside his door could be heard as more bodyguards scrambled to take action. Ibrahim felt his blood run cold as he realized that this was no ordinary threat. His heart raced as the situation unfolded before him. And in the blink of an eye, the unthinkable happened. Another explosion rocked the palace, and the doors to his office burst open. The figure that stepped into the room was masked, their movements swift and calculated. Ibrahim's bodyguards were quick to react, drawing their weapons, but they were too slow. The figure was already there, moving too fast. A gunshot rang out, sharp, loud, and deadly. The world seemed to slow down for Ibrahim. For a moment, time stopped. He looked down and saw blood seeping through his shirt, the wound already growing more painful. He could feel the searing heat spreading through his chest as the bullet pierced his body, the agony taking hold. His bodyguards lunged at the figure, but it was too late. The assassin's job was done. Ibrahim stumbled, falling against the desk, the world blurring around him. He could hear shouting and chaos outside the office, but everything seemed distant. His vision began to fade, and his mind fought to keep him conscious. He couldn't go down like this. He couldn't let them take him. "Sir!" Mamadou, his loyal aide, shouted as he rushed into the room, his face filled with panic. "Stay with me, Ibrahim. We've got you." Ibrahim's head swam, and the world seemed to tilt. He could hear the voice of his bodyguard, Captain Mamadou, calling for medical help, ordering the palace to be locked down. Ibrahim clung to the fading threads of his consciousness, trying to keep himself from slipping away. But before he lost all control, one thought filled his mind. Who could have done this? The world around Ibrahim Traoré was a blur as his bodyguards rushed into his office, pulling him away from the desk where he had collapsed. His chest burned, the wound spreading heat and pain through his body as they dragged him out of the room. He was conscious, but barely. Every breath felt like a struggle, and the world seemed far too quiet despite the chaos that had erupted outside. His mind was racing, trying to focus on the reality of what had just happened. But the blood loss was starting to take its toll. "I'm not done yet," Ibrahim muttered under his breath as Mamadou, his closest aide, hurriedly applied pressure to his wound. His vision flickered, and he could feel the weight of the situation pressing in on him. He was the president of Burkina Faso, the leader of a nation, and someone had just tried to take that away from him. The pain in his side was excruciating, but it was the deeper pain of betrayal, of not knowing who had orchestrated the attack, that made him feel most vulnerable. The guards moved quickly, ushering him down the hallway toward a secure medical room within the palace. As they passed through the corridors, Ibrahim's thoughts were consumed with one question: who did this? His country had enemies, yes, but this attack felt personal. It wasn't just an attempt on his life, it was a message, a calculated strike designed to destroy his authority, to shatter the stability he had worked so hard to build. The fact that it had happened in front of 200 bodyguards, the best trained, most reliable men in the country, made it even worse. Whoever was behind it had resources, power, and a deep understanding of his movements. As Ibrahim was rushed into the medical room, the doctor's hands immediately went to work, checking his vitals and stitching up the wound in his side. The bullet had narrowly missed his organs, but the pain, the blood loss, and the fear were all too real. Ibrahim's heart rate was dangerously high, and the doctors warned him that he needed to stay still, to rest. But resting wasn't an option. This attack wasn't a random act of violence. It was the beginning of something bigger. He could feel it in his gut. "I need answers now," Ibrahim said, his voice weak but commanding as he looked at Mamadou. "Find out who did this. Don't stop until we have every detail." Mamadou, always composed in the face of danger, nodded solemnly. "Of course, sir. We'll find them, but you need to stay calm. You've been hurt." "I can't afford to stay calm," Ibrahim replied, trying to push through the pain as he sat up on the medical table. "This is bigger than me, Mamadou. I can feel it. Someone is trying to destroy everything we've worked for. They won't stop with me." Mamadou didn't argue. Instead, he moved quickly, instructing the medical staff to monitor Ibrahim's condition and organizing his security team to start an immediate investigation. The palace was on lockdown, every exit sealed, every visitor monitored. But Ibrahim wasn't just concerned about finding the shooter or the immediate threat. He knew this attack was only the tip of the iceberg. As the hours passed and the doctors managed to stabilize him, Ibrahim's mind was elsewhere. He couldn't rest. His presidency, the future of Burkina Faso, and his very survival depended on uncovering the truth behind the attack. There were no easy answers, no quick solutions. All he knew was that the bullet was just the beginning of something far darker. The conspiracy against him ran deeper than he could have ever imagined. This wasn't just an assassination attempt. It was an orchestrated move by someone with access, influence, and a plan. And if Ibrahim didn't act swiftly, this threat would destroy everything he had fought for. Ibrahim's thoughts turned to the people closest to him, his trusted aides, his generals, his advisors, and he realized that there could be a traitor in their midst. The attack hadn't just come from outside the palace, it had come from within. He wasn't just fighting to stay alive.
He was fighting to expose the treason that had been growing in the shadows for far too long. In the following days, Ibrahim's investigation began. His security team combed through every inch of palace footage, every document, and every communication that had passed through the government systems. They traced the movements of his bodyguards, cross-referencing each one with visitors and suspects. It was a thorough and meticulous process, But with every lead they followed, Ibrahim's gut told him that the conspiracy ran deeper than he could have anticipated. And then the breakthrough came. Mamadou entered the room with a grim look on his face, holding a folder filled with printed documents. "Sir, we've discovered something. The shooter, the one who fired at you, was connected to someone high up in the military. Someone trusted." Ibrahim's heart skipped a beat. "Who?" "General Yamayogo," Mamadou said, his voice filled with disbelief. "He's been in contact with the assassin. His records show meetings with mercenaries, and there are suspicious financial transactions linked to him. This wasn't just a random attack on you. It's part of a larger scheme, and it's coming from within your own ranks." Ibrahim's mind raced as the implications hit him like a wave. Yamayogo was more than just a general. He was a trusted ally, a friend almost. The realization that he had been targeted by someone so close was a devastating blow. "You're sure about this?" Ibrahim asked, his voice cold, controlled. Mamadou nodded grimly. "Yes, sir. The evidence points directly to him." Ibrahim's eyes narrowed, his resolve hardening. The battle for his life was far from over. The person who had tried to kill him had been an insider, someone who knew how to get past all security. But Ibrahim wasn't going to let this stand. "We need to bring him in," Ibrahim said firmly, his voice low and deadly. "I want General Yamayogo in front of me now." Ibrahim Traoré has survived yet another assassination attempt and exposed the dangerous conspiracy threatening his life. With General Yamayogo and his network now captured, what comes next for the future of Burkina Faso? Stay tuned for the next chapter of The Voice of Ibrahim Traoré as the fight for justice continues. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The battle for the soul of the nation is just beginning.